Hey guys, it's Leo, and it's time to talk about episode 12 of HUGTTO PRECURE. This episode was kind of laid back and relaxed, and I loved it so much. I thought that nothing very important would happen, but the ending part of the episode, it really surprised me. But anyway, let's talk about it. In this episode, the girls have been through a lot, and so they decided to throw a pajama party to celebrate their friendship and to celebrate everything that's been going on with them as cures. And so they did. They got together at Harry's tree house, and there they were able to have their nice little moment. And I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest, I love those characters so much, and I love how they feel connected to each other, and so I loved seeing that. Usually I like when there's more action in the episodes, I like when there's more story in the episodes, but when there's a cast of great characters, like we're having with Hugto, like we had with Kira Kira, I think that those moments in which they connect to each other, they feel very special, and that's what I felt with this episode. We got to know a little bit more of the characters, like when they were reacting to a horror movie. We got to know a little bit more on how they feel towards certain points of life, and we had some moments that it's been a while we haven't had moments like when they were taking care of Hugton, like we had in the first episodes. And then in this episode, we see that Hugton's teeth are growing, and I'm gonna have to be honest again. I was a little afraid of having a baby around and things would get stale. And yeah, sometimes I do think that they do, like when they were preparing baby food for Hugton, even though the scene was short. I love Hugton so much, and to see her teeth growing like that, my reaction was just like Homare's when Hugton called her mama in this episode. And it's funny because Homare is always taking pictures of Hugton, and her obsession with Hugton is so cute. And in general, I think that everything that happened with this portion of the episode was very nice. Another thing that I loved was when Harry, they were talking about popcorn, and then Harry had a reaction, and it was a callback, it was a reference to Ichika from Kira Kira. And because Ichika always said "Kirato hirameta" when she was cooking, when she had a nice idea, and Harry said that in this episode. He said something different. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was a direct reference to Ichika's catchphrase, and I was so happy with that. I hold Ichika very dear to my heart. She's a very special protagonist for me. And so, in the villain portion of this episode, it was interesting because they don't seem to be that strict to Papuru. I mean, they were stricter to Charlie, and Papuru has her way of, going out of all of the hardships they can put her through, and she can win them with her discourse. And so it seems that they're not very concerned with her position yet, and that makes me happy. That makes me a little okay. But I think that green guy is gonna be appearing soon. But at the same time, Lulu was paying attention to everything, and it's interesting because it seems to me that she is taking everything that's happening into consideration on her own. There's not a real superior talking to her and telling her to go after the cures. No, she is just doing everything on her own. And I wonder who created her, who put all those thoughts into Lulu, and who created her. Where's her origin? What's her origin? Who is she? And I'm very curious. And another very nice thing that I loved in this episode, Charlie is now a YouTuber, and that makes me really happy because it's interesting that finally we have villains that don't simply disappear. Even though his scene was short, it was nice seeing that he is actually doing something, and that he's actually, not just becoming dust or becoming a mascot. He's just now working and doing his own thing, and I love that. And I love that so much, and I can't wait to see Papuru doing her own thing as well after she's not a villain anymore. Even though I hope that it takes a while, because I want her to be a villain for as long as possible, because she's the best. But anyways, another nice thing that happened in this episode was the little talk they had, and Harry finally revealed his and Hugton's origins, which is from the future. But now we know that they come from a very, very far future. So it's been ages and ages and eras, and then they've traveled back further than they would like. So they probably lived in a very different world from the world we live in nowadays. And I am very curious to learn more about that. But you know, having this information that they come from the very far future is a nice thing, because it can narrow down some of the theories we've been doing so far, and it's another interesting piece of information. And so Papuru was able to gather some Toge power. Hardly, because you know things are good in the world, but you know the way Hana's mother showed her Toge power was very nice. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't get lots of Toge power in them when they stumble their toe? I mean, I certainly do. I certainly curse every single person in the world when I stumble my toe like that. And so I'm probably full of Toge power in that moment. That was very nice. And the fighting scene itself was a little rough. You know, it didn't feel good to watch, but they finally used their powers, and it's interesting because the way they choreographed the whole thing was a way of trying to show that they all are different people and they all mesh very well together. I think that Kira Kira did it better when it came to individualities, but I think that HUGTTO is going a different route than Kira Kira. You know, Kira Kira focused the whole season on individualities, and HUGTTO is not really focusing on that. But yeah, the girls are individuals, they're not the same, but I feel like it's a more cohesive group this time around than we had in Kira Kira. So when they talk about differences like that, and when differences make the group stronger, I don't feel like we can actually see that as the philosophy of the season itself. You know, I don't think that HUGTTO has this philosophy, but it worked well in the fight, and we saw the the individual attacks with the Melody Sword. Particularly, I liked the attacks, but I wanted to see them like one attack in each episode, so we could have like Yell using her attack in this episode, and then Anje next one, and then Etoile in 2 episodes from now on, just so that we could have a little mystery, and the attacks would feel a little more special than they did when they were used in this episode. I mean, they could have deflected that with their hand and with their abilities, but the 3 attacks are very nice. They're very beautiful. I really liked them. They feel very, I love the animation from the attacks. You know, the animation make the attacks feel special, but I don't know. I feel like they're simple attacks. They're not very strong, but they're very beautiful. The animations are very beautiful. When Etoile did hers, and then she jumped on the star and went flying, I was like, yes, girl, work it. That was so nice. I loved that. I really loved that. And I don't know, I just like the 3 attacks, but they're not finishers. It seems that they're just like defensive and kind of offensive attacks, but they're not strong enough. And so the girls obviously are going to use the Precure Trinity Concerto to defeat the monsters. I think that they're going to use it until we get the mid-season cures. So they're probably going to defeat the monsters when they arrive. But I don't know. Well, I was going to finish, but I forgot to talk about the last part of the episode. The girls were able to defeat the monster, and they went to sleep, and they shared a little bit more of their moments together. I think that Harry now feels, he really believes in the girls. He really understands them, and it's interesting because he thought, and he talked about a 4th cure, that he thought that a team of 4 would be stronger than a team of 3. but he feels content with the three girls as cures because they're working very well together. So he feels like there's no need for another cure. Well, I don't know what that really means, but I feel like, do they have another power stored? Do they know that there's another power stored in someone else? Or is it because in the future there were 4 cures? I don't know. I don't understand. I don't really understand this number in Harry's mind. And so Lulu, our villain, our lilac villain, she just went to Hannah's house and she brainwashed her mother. That scene was really scary. It was really scary. When, when Hannah's mother looked around and she saw no one and Lulu was behind her, I was like, girl, you're really doing it. And, I love it because I like ruthless villains. And sometimes Precure lacks ruthless villains. And this obviously reminded me of Northa from Fresh, but Northa was the definition of a ruthless villain, and she attacked Love's mother, and that was ruthless. That was brutal. Northa was brutal. She was one of the best Precure villains we've had so far, and I love her so much. And so she was able to brainwash her mother, and now her mother believes that Lulu is the daughter of a friend that's staying in her house. So I think she's obviously doing it because she is trying to gather more information on the cure so that she can beat them. We all know how this is going to turn out, right? But I am very curious to see how things are going to turn out now, because I have no idea how Lulu is going to deal with everything, and her being an android, is she going to be able to show some emotions even if they're fake, just to to confuse the girls a little bit? I don't know. I don't know how things are going to turn out, but I'm very curious. And in the next episode, Lulu is going to be introduced at school, and she is going to meet Curiel. That's gonna be intense. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be intense. And I'm curious to see that. Anyways, guys, that was my view on episode 12. I'm probably forgetting something because this episode had lots of nice scenes. Like Homari with her stuffed animal. I loved that. It was so cute. And there were lots of little things in this episode, and that's gorgeous. I loved it. And HUGTTO is just continuing being this amazing season. And I am adoring HUGTTO so much. Anyways, that was my views. Let's keep our comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.